Think about the last big news story you followed. What's the one thing that really stuck in your head? Was it a headline, a paragraph, or was it that single, powerful image that said everything without a single word? You know, we're just bombarded with visuals all day, every day, but once in a while, a drawing just slices right through all that noise.
I mean, look at this. This is Edel Rodriguez's Meltdown cover for Time magazine. It's so incredibly simple, right? Just a few splashes of color. But this single image came to define an entire political moment. You didn't need to read a single word to get it. The punch was immediate, and it perfectly captured a feeling that millions of people were sharing.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How can a simple, handmade drawing do that? How on earth does it manage to boil down a super complex social or political situation into one unforgettable picture? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today.
What we're talking about here has a name: editorial illustration. And it is so crucial to understand that this stuff is not just decoration. The source material we're looking at calls it a form of visual journalism. Its job isn't to look pretty. Its job is to give you critical commentary, to enlighten you, to inform, and to educate. It's journalism, plain and simple, just with lines and colors instead of sentences and paragraphs.
And this kind of journalism is on a serious mission. It's designed to do things that, let's be honest, text by itself can sometimes struggle with. It's meant to get under your skin, to make you question your own perceptions, to provoke a really strong emotion. It can give a voice to people who otherwise might not have one. And when it really hits, whoa. An illustration can become a genuine call to arms, a real instrument for change in the world.
Okay, so that's what it is, but how do they actually do it? What's in the conceptual toolbox that lets an illustrator have that kind of impact? And here's a spoiler, it goes way, way beyond just being good at drawing. This is where it gets really fascinating, especially when you compare illustration to photography. A photograph, it captures reality. It shows us what is. But an illustration, it constructs meaning from scratch. It gets to play in the world of what if. And because it's so obviously a constructed image, it can often get away with tackling really sensitive topics, even evading censorship, in a way a photo, which claims to be the truth, just can't.
So to build that meaning, illustrators have this whole arsenal of tools. And we're not just talking about pencils and paint here. These are intellectual tools. We're talking visual puns, sharp wit, biting satire. They can use sarcasm or even pastiche, which is, imitating another style to make a point. But the big one, the real powerhouse in their toolbox, is metaphor. The magic of representing one big idea with another simpler one.
Right, so here is the absolute key. There is no such thing as a neutral editorial illustration. Ever. It always has a point of view. Every single choice, the colors they use, the style of the lines, the metaphor they're building, all of it is carefully chosen to send a very specific, intentional message. And this is a perfect example of how illustration can make something totally abstract, totally visible. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, how would you even draw an idea like a culture of blame? Well, illustrator Adam McCauley did this. He took the image of the virus we all knew and replaced those little spike proteins with pointing human fingers. And boom, just like that, a really complex social problem becomes a simple, powerful image you instantly get.
So, you might be wondering, where did all this come from? This amazing ability to interpret the world didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's actually built on this incredible history of adaptation and, really, survival.
For the longest time, illustration was kind of looked down on. The source material points out that it was often called the Cinderella of the arts. The idea was that it was, decorative, maybe a little less serious or manly than the written word. It really had to fight for its seat at the table.
And that fight is actually what made it so smart. See, back in the 1800s, illustrations in newspapers just showed what happened. But then, bam, photography shows up, and it could do that job way better and way faster. It was a total crisis. So illustration had to make a choice, evolve or die. And it evolved. It got smarter, borrowing ideas from wild art movements like Dada and Surrealism, which were all about the idea, not just realism. And then, of course, the computer came along and just changed the game completely.
So here's the big twist. Photography didn't kill illustration. Not at all. It was probably the best thing that ever happened to it. It forced illustration to stop being a camera and to start being a brain. To stop just showing what happened and to start explaining why it mattered, what it all meant.
And that brings us right up to today, to right now. We're on a completely new front line, where that brain is more important than ever. because now we're in a huge fight over what's even real.
I'm sure you've all heard the term fake news, right? I mean, we all have. We're living in this world that's just flooded with false stories made specifically to manipulate us. It feels like we're drowning in it sometimes, and it's just getting tougher and tougher to know what to believe.
And the really tricky part is the people who create this stuff, they're basically hacking our brains. You know that thing your mind does automatically, where it connects the dots and fills in the blanks to make sense of things? They use that against us. They just create a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of doubt, and that's the crack where all that disinformation thrives. But this is where illustration finds its modern superpower. Think about it. We live in a world of deepfakes, where any photo can be manipulated. But in illustration, it's not pretending to be reality. It's totally open and honest about what it is, a constructed idea. It's literally a human being offering you their perspective, their argument. And in our world today, that honesty is everything. Okay, so what's next? Where does a powerful medium like this go from here? I mean, with technology changing at lightning speed, what does the next chapter for illustration even look like?
Well, for one thing, the canvas itself is completely different. It's not just a piece of paper or a magazine page anymore, it's our screens. Illustrators are now making animated GIFs for online articles, moving sequences for social media. They're figuring out brand new ways to tell visual stories designed for the digital world.
Yeah, the future is what experts call multimodal. We're talking about things like data visualizations that actually update in real time as a story develops. Or how about augmented reality, where the art on a page literally jumps to life through your phone? And virtual reality? You won't just see the story, you'll be inside it. That whole toolbox is becoming a full-blown digital laboratory.
And get this isn't some far-off science fiction dream. It's already happening. Publications have been experimenting with augmented reality covers for years now, transforming us from just passive readers into active participants, where the story literally comes alive in our hands.
So this all leads to one last, huge, and really fascinating question. As we step into this new world where AI can generate a flawless, beautiful image in seconds, what actually becomes valuable? Maybe, just maybe, it's not the final image that matters most. Maybe what's truly priceless is the one thing AI can't just create on command: a clever, critical, and uniquely human idea. What do you think about that?